Hello there. In this video, I want to ask the question, what do you do when your Kickstarter progress has stalled? And in this video, I'm going to talk about the truth about why feeling stuck is and what the feeling of stuck actually is versus what we think it is, and also why hustling and grinding your way out of being stuck actually rarely works. I'm going to share a little story from one of my students who just had his best launch ever, share sort of his secret to doing that and getting through it and getting the results that he got. And then I'm also going to share one counterintuitive thing to do now to fix a stalled out Kickstarter campaign right away. All right. So I'm Tyler James. I'm the publisher of Comics Tribe. I'm the founder of Comics Launch, where we save comic creators from disappointing Kickstarter launches. And so I'm recording this video because I want to give you some actionable strategies today for getting unstuck when it comes to making progress on your Kickstarter launch. And so if you're someone right now who feels like your comic book Kickstarter has stalled out, let me know. Let me know. Do you feel stuck? And maybe you're someone who is in the middle of a campaign right now and it's going so slow. Your backers are few and far between. You feel like you're getting little engagement from the people that are backing you. Or maybe even, worst case scenario, you had some pledges and then now some pledges are dropping. It's not surprising when you feel stuck in that situation. Or even if you don't have a Kickstarter campaign that's live right now, maybe you've been working on your Kickstarter for a while and it's taking forever. You wanted to launch weeks or even months ago, but that launch date keeps slipping. It's taking you a lot longer than you thought it was going to take to actually launch. Maybe you've gone back to the drawing board a few times. Maybe you've created like 2 or 3 Kickstarter projects and abandoned them all because you decided to come up with something else. And as a result, maybe you're losing some of your confidence and maybe questioning whether or not you should be focusing elsewhere. What's going on over at Indiegogo, or maybe my website needs more work, or maybe this isn't a Kickstarter is not for me. Maybe I should be doing a Patreon, etc. Those feelings start to come up, especially when your momentum stalls out. And maybe you're someone who has launched a project before and maybe even succeeded, but that high has run out, and now you're like, all right, that campaign was successful, but now what? Like, where am I? And so there's a lot of different ways and flavors of feeling stuck. And if any of that resonates, or if you feel stuck or stalled or just a little bit of unease, I actually have some good news for you. We'll get to that in a moment. But here's what happens like when we get to this stuck in neutral feeling. And here's what we tend to make this stuck in neutral feeling mean. Like if we've got a Kickstarter live and the campaign feels like it's stuck, we tend to just come up with the belief or the thought that, Kickstarter's stuck. Or maybe the economy is stuck, or maybe people are panicking about the news, and so that's making them stuck. Or maybe my audience is just my audience is done. They're tapped off. Maybe my audience is stuck, or they're tired of hearing on me, right? We create these thoughts around the results that we're getting. And that's the stories. And then we start to believe that, right? Or if you're working on it, as you start to feel that stalledness come on, we start to tell ourselves or believe things like, there's just too much to do. I'm never going to get it all done. Or we start to say, I'm just so overwhelmed. I'm so overwhelmed with all the things that I have to do. And then we start questioning, like, what's the point of this? Or, what if I do all of this work and it doesn't actually work out? I do all this stuff, I launch and it's a failure, right? And so as a result, like, we bring all of this stuff into our thoughts. But the reality is, if we're feeling that way, and if we're feeling that way in reaction to whatever's going on in our world, it doesn't actually mean most of what we think it means, right? It doesn't mean that Kickstarter is stuck. And you can just look empirically, like at any given day, $1 to $2 million is live on the Kickstarter platform, being pledged and going to awesome creative projects, right? So money's still flowing on Kickstarter, right? It doesn't mean our audience is stuck either, right? And because our audience isn't like this amorphous blog that's either on or off. Like, our audience, or the people that follow our work, they're all human beings that are going about their individual lives, doing their things, and they're moving and they're doing everything. So, we can say, oh, my audience is stuck or my audience is tired, but that's not truth, because your audience is not one thing. It's a accumulation of people. We can also say, well, the economy, it must be the economy, right? But truth is, the economy ebbs and flows. Fortunes are made in good and bad economies alike, and people are always going to need to be entertained. That is one true thing. All right. And so for most creators and for most of us out there, we sort of make our own economies, right? We're not in something where we're not putting out commodities. We are putting out works of art. And so, it's very possible. I mean, Kickstarter really came to prominence as a result of, and after one of the worst recessions in our life. So, let's not use the economy as an easy excuse to take ourselves off the hook. But here's what it does mean when you're feeling stuck. Well, it means your thinking is stuck. And when your thinking is stuck, when you think you're stuck, that results in you feeling stuck. And when you feel stuck, it results in you acting like stuck people do, right? What do stuck people do? When you're feeling stuck, when I'm feeling stuck, we kind of panic. We're like, I'm stuck. Like, what am I going to do about this? Oh no, right? And we tend to pout and complain and flail a little bit and just do a lot of random stuff and lose sight of what our original plan was, and just, maybe try a lot of random stuff, or we throw out the playbook and just get unfocused, or we just give up. We throw our hands in the air and we say, you know what, I'm stuck, forget about it. Let's turn it off and go do something else. All right. So results only come from actions. That's how this world works. Like, take action, get results. Actions, results, actions, results. And I just listed the kinds of actions that people who think that they are stuck and who feel stuck do. They panic, they pout, they complain, they flail, they give up. What are the results going to be from actions like that? I mean, we're all smart. We know that if those are the actions that you're doing, well, you're probably going to stay stuck. You're probably going to make little to no progress. You're probably going to get more bad results. You're probably going to feel even more trapped because you were in quicksand and now you're panicking. So you're sinking further and faster. And you're going to then feed the narrative that you're stuck, because you're going to get more results and worse results than you had even when you started doing all of those actions. And as a result, you're going to confirm the belief. Like, what sometimes happens is you then confirm the beliefs. It's like, well, see, I told you Kickstarter was broken, or I told you my audience is tapped out, or I told you, this just won't work for me, right? Because your results are now confirming your thoughts. But it was those thoughts that actually helped contribute to those results. You guys ever used one of those Chinese finger traps, right? It's sort of like that. Like, and a lot of times when we feel like stuck, we do try to take these wild actions, or just like, oh, I'm just going to put my head down and hustle and grind my way out of this thing. But that's usually actually not the answer, because it's like those Chinese finger traps. Like, you put your hand in one of those finger traps, you can pull, and flail it, and you're not getting out. The only way to get out is to actually go in first and smooth your way out, right? And so Kickstarter being stalled, or feeling like your Kickstarter is stalled, or your progress is being stalled, it's actually a function of your thinking being stalled and neutral. And so if you want to change your results, you actually got to change your thinking about them first. And I want to point to a great example of this this past month. Jeff Weber, he's a creator. He's inside Comics Launch Pro. Been working with him for a while, but he's coming off his biggest Kickstarter launch yet. It was for this series, The Scientist, that he's been working on for literally over 15 years. It's been a passion project. It's deeply personal to him. He actually started working on it with a friend of his who passed away, but he was determined to see it all the way through. I think in part, keep his friend and his friend's memory alive. And so, I've been watching Jeff build his campaigns and launching, and I think this is his fourth campaign. So he's been steadily doing it. But he recently launched, and this fourth campaign was to collect the thing. And he had his biggest Kickstarter goal, which is a little bit scary, but it also seemed like it was the most confident I've seen Jeff in a launch. And he was very steady. And that just really made the difference during his launch. Now, this launch wasn't one that was just, day one funded, massive stretch goal, this, that. No, like he was going for more funding than he had ever asked for before. And it actually went all the way down to the final day. And there were some lulls in his campaign and some days where there was not a lot of funding or backers. And for many creators, that just sends them into like this panic mode or this tailspin. But Jeff never lost his cool. And I really I had to compliment him on it because I was, watching him, throughout the launch, seeing how he was taking action, seeing how he was being steady. And what Jeff said, after it was all said and done, is he said, I just focused on the things I could do that were in my control, right? We don't have any ability to make other people back our campaigns. We can't make them. We can't force them. That needs to be a choice that they make. So we need to only focus on the things that we can do and actually do to hopefully create that result and to invite people to get people to our page and to invite them and make the pitch to them. And that's what Jeff was told to do. He chose to focus on the things that he could do that were 100% in his control. The truth is, there is no such thing as being stuck. Being stuck is a choice. Being overwhelmed is a choice. And inaction, as a result, that's actually an action. That's the choosing not to take action, choosing not to get yourself out of that. And so the feeling of being stuck, it's actually like the fear that the thing that you don't want to happen, it's like your campaign not succeeding, it's taking that fear and pulling it into the present moment because as a result of what you're getting at, because things slowed down. And all overwhelm is, if overwhelm is what's slowing you down or overwhelm is why you're stuck, that's pulling in all of the things that you have to do between now and say your launch time. It's pulling that all into the present moment as if it all needs to be done in this exact moment, which it absolutely doesn't. We know this. Overwhelm also means pulling in all the things that you might want to do, could do, feel like you should do someday things, pulling that and putting that on your shoulders too. And then this concept of toxic overwhelm is actually when you also pull in all the things that you don't want to happen, all the worst case scenarios, you pull all of those things into the present as well. And if you're piling all that stuff on you in the present moment, there's no wonder that you're stuck. So my encouragement to you is to let all that stuff go. I encourage you to choose to think different thoughts so you feel different feelings, so you take different actions, and so you get different results. And so let me show you some ways to reframe, okay? Instead of thinking something like, oh no, I didn't get any backers today. Let's say you're in the middle of a Kickstarter campaign. Like, that's a thought that's not going to serve you, all right? Instead, think, what can I do today to show people how cool my project is? Or how can I get at least 100 people to my Kickstarter page today? Those thoughts will result in different kinds of feelings and different kinds of actions, all right? If you're working on a launch and you're telling yourself, there's so many things I have to do to have a successful Kickstarter, think instead, what are the most important 3 things I can do this week to move my campaign forward? All right. Different thoughts, much more likely to lead to better actions. If you're thinking something like, oh no, a backer dropped. What if all backers dropped? Like, that's a low value thought. That thought's not going to serve you. Instead, think backer drops. You could choose to think, you know what? It's actually awesome that it costs me nothing to access and use Kickstarter, which is this trusted platform of 17 plus million backers with credit cards on file, so that I can reach far more people than I could ever reach on my own. And it's awesome that Kickstarter is set up in such a way that it's very easy for people to give a shot to creators like myself. You have choices of how you think, all right? But the important thing is whatever you choose to think is going to result in feelings. And those feelings are going to result into how you act as a result of those feelings, all right? And so it's important that we take control of our thoughts and our feelings and our results, all right? Because those feelings of stuckness and stalledness and uncertainty and doubt and fear, here's actually the good news about those things. those feelings are actually evidence that you are leveling up as a professional. All right. Because anything that's going to make a real difference in your life is going to require you to go through moments of fear and doubt and uncertainty, and yes, even discomfort. You know who doesn't ever feel those things? People that aren't trying. And so I want to encourage you that when you're feeling those things, when you're doubting yourself or fearful of the actions that you're taking or uncertain or feeling stalled or stuck, like stop yourself and say, there's no way I could feel these things if I wasn't trying to go after something. And instead of making those things make you feel bad, make them mean that it's clear evidence that you're on the right path, right? Like you could choose to make it mean like if you go and do a really hard workout, right? And you lift a lot of weights, right? Well, the next day, your muscles are going to feel sore, the lactic buildup, muscle fibers broken down, etc. Like you could choose to make that soreness mean, oh my God, there's something wrong with my arm. I should probably go to the doctor. Like that's awful. Or you could choose to see that as, hey, you know what? That's actually evidence that I'm growing. It's actually how I'm going to get stronger. I'm breaking down muscle fibers to build them back up stronger, right? And so if you're overwhelmed or confused or doubtful, all that means is that you're growing, you're learning, and that you haven't stopped trying to learn and reach and get after things. And that's a good thing. That's a sign of a pro. That's a sign of someone that's going to be doing big things a year from now, 2 years from now, and never get completely away from those feelings, right? And so I hope that helps, that little mind shift reframe. Last thing I want to do, though, is give you one sort of counterintuitive action that you can take right now to fix a stalled Kickstarter campaign. So this is either if your campaign is live and it's muddling, or if it's you're working on your campaign but it's slowed down. All right. Now, inside of Comics Launch Pro, which is my program and community where I coach creators through their launches, I have detailed checklists and action plans for every phase of the launch, and there are many phases during the launch. And so there's literally lots of strategies out there that are effective and that work. And I share some of those in free workshops and masterclasses. So be on the lookout for those and attend those if you want more of this kind of stuff. But I want to give you just one thing that you can do. That's super easy and anybody can do it. This thing is simple. Just go back other projects on Kickstarter. All right. Now, you can do this while your project is live. You can also do this before you launch or after you have launched, but back other projects on Kickstarter. All right. And you don't have to back for anything more than $1. That's the minimum back you can do on Kickstarter. So if you don't have a lot of resources to put into it, back for $1. But the reason I point this out, and some of you that are super backers or whatever, it's like, Tyler, I do that already, but I stay with me because I want to make it clear why this works. But I am also still kind of shocked, but I've been doing this long enough that I'm not, but about half the creators that attend my free workshops or listen to my podcast or even have, one-on-one conversations with me, about half of them have yet to back a single Kickstarter project. Crazy, right? Like they want to jump in on this platform and use it to propel their careers forward, but they haven't actually engaged on the platform. It's kind of like trying to make a comics without never having actually bought and read a comic before. All right. And so I want to encourage you, don't be that person that tries to launch and has never launched, because the data is pretty clear. Creators without backing any Kickstarter projects, they actually succeed at a far lower level than creators that have backed projects. All right. But when I say go back projects on Kickstarter to get unstuck and unstalled, the reason I'm saying that is probably not the reason why you think I'm saying that, right? Some people might think, well, oh, here's what Tyler's saying. I'm reading between the lines. Tyler says, go back another campaign so that creator of that campaign will then back yours. Or some of you might be thinking, I get the strategy. What you're going to do is you're going to reach out to other creators and say, hey, if you back my campaign, I'll back your campaign, and vice versa. Definitely don't do that, right? Definitely don't reach out to other campaigns and ask for and try to create, especially to someone that you don't know, and try to create this, quid pro quo, I back you, you back me scenario. It rarely works. It usually comes off as off-putting. And it's sort of like asking someone out on a date, but up front saying, hey, I'd like to take you out to dinner, but this dinner is 100% conditional on you doing X, Y, or Z for me, right? That's not how it works, right? But here's why it does work. First, the golden rule, all right? I mean, and I'm going to give you basically 3 ways that this works. One is sort of, I mean, the biblical way to look at it is like the golden rule, right? What is the golden rule? Do unto others what you would have done unto you. This is like a tried and true, long-term tested thing that's in every religion, and it's lasted thousands and thousands of years. What do you want to have happen to you? You want people to back your campaigns now or in the future. So do that to others. It's there. It works. I don't know. You can. I'm not sure why it works. It just does. It's the golden rule. Follow it. But here's another thing. Another reason, this is sort of like a little bit more of a new age thing, is, when you give to others, you are practicing an abundance mindset, which attracts more abundance in return. The converse, when you hoard stuff, when you hoard resources, when you're tight-fisted, when you're closed, you're actually operating from a scarcity mindset, saying, I got to hold on to everything. And I'm in total competition. Right. And the truth is, you need an open hand to both give and to receive. And so if you're giving, your hand is also open to receive. And a closed fist can't give or receive. All right. Those are two, like the golden rule and what I just said, those are kind of spiritual woo-woo things that I've seen that they just absolutely work. But for the practical, like straight-minded folks out there, like the people are just like, just give me the science, man. Why does this work? Or give me the, that's not going to connect to me. I don't believe it. Right. Totally get that. I'm a skeptic in a lot of things too, as well. So here's a third way why this works. All right. Every time you back a project on Kickstarter, everyone that's following you and following your page on Kickstarter actually will get a message in their inbox from Kickstarter saying, hey, so-and-so backed this project. And what does that do? When I see this, like, it reminds people that you are a supporter and an active person on the comics Kickstarter community. It puts your name back in the feeds of anyone that's following you. And a lot of times that comes up. It's like, oh, hey, so-and-so is backing this project. Huh, have I heard that project? That project looks cool. Let me check it out. And, oh, wait a minute, isn't so-and-so also, doesn't he have a Kickstarter live now? Yeah, I mean, I've been busy. I think I've been seeing stuff, but it's really cool that even though he has a Kickstarter live, so-and-so is still supporting other projects on Kickstarter. Maybe it's time to give that project another look. You can let me know if that's ever happened to you. You've seen some other creator that pops up in your feed, you follow him, and you see that he's backing other people's projects while his Kickstarter campaign is live. That definitely has an effect and I saw about half a dozen creators popping up in my feed, people that I follow that are backing other projects on Kickstarter. And it just reminds me that those people exist and that those people are important people and supportive people in the world of the comics, in the world of comics and in the greater comics Kickstarter community. And it's very, very effective at keeping the things going when you're feeling stuck. And there, right there, is a simple action that you can take that's not all about you. It's actually about somebody else, but that will help move you forward, move your campaign forward, and get you back on track. All right. So hope that helps. If you're feeling stuck or stalled in your head, let me know what's going on. I'll see if I can help you reframe some of those thoughts into something that will give you better results. Because remember, if you fix your thoughts, it's going to impact your feelings, it's going to change your actions, and that's going to transform your results. Have an awesome rest of the day. I can't wait to see what you launch next.